Tornadoes are among the most destructive weather phenomena on the planet. They can develop suddenly and leave death and destruction in their wake. Monitoring severe weather and issuing warnings is just one part of what we do at the National Weather Service. When the tornado lifts and the severe thunderstorm threat ends, our job is not done. Here is what NWS meteorologists do after the storm.
The National Weather Service conducts storm surveys to get an assessment of the damage that occurred from severe thunderstorms or possible tornadoes. What we do is we send out a survey team to evaluate the damage. And that could be a lengthy process. First we have to determine where the damage occurred. We have to get the teams out to that location. And then once there, we start looking at the damage to find a starting and end point to get the total length, determine the width of the damage, and then looking at all the different damage indicators along the path, we find the hardest hit location, and from that determine what a potential wind speed would be, whether it's a tornado and we use the EF scale, or if it was a downburst and just with a straight line wind speeds for that location.
In late June 2023, National Weather Service meteorologists conducted a storm survey on the northern shores of Lake Murray, following reports that damage in the area caused by severe thunderstorms may have been from a tornado.
So when we conduct the survey, we're actually looking at how the damage occurred to determine if it's a tornado or straight line winds. Typically for tornado, we'll see trees down either in opposite directions or kind of pointed down toward the center of the track of the storm or kind of across each other. If it's more a result of straight line winds, typically all the damage is facing the motion of the storm. So all generally facing down in one direction or slightly divergent, kind of spreading out away from a center point. So we use that to really determine if it was a tornado or straight line winds, in addition to what we see actually on radar.
When a storm survey is complete, and it has been determined that a tornado caused the damage, National Weather Service meteorologists will assign the tornado a rating on the Enhanced Fujita scale, or EF scale for short. For a brief overview of what the EF scale is, here's the Science Operations Officer at NWS Columbia, Frank Alsheimer.
Ted Fujita actually grew up in Japan, and he did his first surveying, unfortunately, after atomic bombs that dropped in Japan. He came over to the United States and worked for the University of Chicago for a long time. The first tornado he surveyed was actually in Fargo, North Dakota in 1957, and he was a pioneer in a lot of areas in severe weather. What he was an expert on was taking very detailed measurements and taking pictures, first on the ground, and then as time went on, he started taking aerial photographs and being able, based on the pictures he took and the measurements he took, to estimate the strength of winds of tornadoes. Eventually he published a paper in 1971. It was based on the Beaufort wind scale on the damage that he figured from the pictures that he took and the measurements that he took, and turned them into a scale. That scale is known as the F scale, and it was adopted in 1973 by the National Weather Service as the gold standard for estimating damage. Unfortunately, Dr. Fujita passed away in 1998, but he left a lasting legacy of surveying severe wind damage in the United States. Now, of course, technology had continued to increase, and while what Dr. Fujita gave us was terrific, we were able to do more and more with the technology that we had as we entered into the 2000s. So a new team of folks, meteorologists and engineers, got together and created the Enhanced Fujita scale, which has been used by the National Weather Service since 2007. It was developed so that it could be backwards compatible with the original Fujita scale so that we could have a longer period of record. You can see on the screen over here, this is what the current Enhanced Fujita scale looks like. It ranges anywhere from EF0 with winds of 65 to 85 miles per hour, all the way down to EF5 with winds of greater than 200 miles per hour. That goes anywhere from very light damage, mainly to trees, maybe some sidings, all the way down to complete destruction of major buildings. Fortunately, EF5s are pretty rare. As a matter of fact, we haven't had one in the United States now for over 10 years. But when we do get them, they cause a large number of fatalities. In our area, most of the tornadoes generally run from the EF0 to EF2, although we do get occasional outbreaks. For instance, the Easter outbreak of 2020, where we can get EF3s. The strongest tornadoes to ever be recorded in the state of South Carolina or in the eastern part of Georgia are EF4s. Fortunately, those are very rare for us. There have been EF5s in the western part of the state of Georgia, but not in the eastern part.
When severe weather strikes, there is often a loss of life and property. Due to the nature of tornadoes, lives can be permanently altered in a matter of seconds. Here to talk about the human aspect of conducting storm surveys is the meteorologist in charge at NWS Columbia, Rich Okulski.
Part of our office's mission is to survey severe weather damage, and in particular tornado damage. And what we'll do if we have reports of a potential tornado damage is we'll send out a team of at least 2 employees to go out and survey the damage. We will normally go out and meet up with an emergency manager or some other emergency responder to help guide us to the damage. Now, one of the things we have to keep in mind is the human component of damage surveys. You're going to be meeting people on one of the worst days of their life. Their home's been destroyed, their car's been destroyed, they've had some type of damage on their property. First we usually say we're sorry for the damage that you have received on your property, or we're sorry for your loss if it's been that somebody has passed away unfortunately related to that event. And we ask permission to go and survey their property and use particular care when we're asking questions in terms of what they've seen, what did they experience during that particular event. They may also be traumatized even if they've survived that. Like we've had people where they have moved into a different part of the house and the tree has collapsed and toppled and potentially could have injured or killed them had they stayed in one place. We had that during the April 2020 severe weather outbreak, where we had 5 EF3 damaged tornadoes over 2 or 3 counties. We had at least 25 people that would have been injured or killed had they stayed in place rather than heeded the warning and gone to their safest location. So I think they were still in shock about surviving that event. So you have to use care when asking questions and surveying the damage. We send people out that have not only the skill to assess tornado damage, but also have a certain degree of empathy, an ability to talk to people. And most people, by and large, 90% of the people that we run into, they're glad to have the Weather Service out there to help document the damage. And then also from the human component is on the surveyor. There are times, and I've surveyed everything up to an EF5 tornado, that you see terrible damage and terrible loss. And I think it's very important for our folks, if they've been traumatized by what they've had to survey, that they get a debrief. We have people on our staff who are trained to deal with critical incident stress management. And then also we have a public health service officer who works for the Weather Service. We're scientists. We're also emergency responders in a sense, but not the same as a firefighter or a police officer. But we do encounter unpleasant things when we go out and survey.
Thanks for watching the latest episode of In the Field with NWS Columbia. We have more content on the way, so make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you are the first to know when a new video is posted. If you have any suggestions for future videos, make sure to let us know in the comments. In the meantime, I'm meteorologist Steve Lavoie. Stay safe and always remain weather aware.